Hey, it's Coach Taylor from SmarterTeamTraining.com. I've probably said this message a couple of weeks now in a row. Do me a favor. Use social media to expand your network, your reach, with not only the toolbox that you have and you possess, even work outside of an environment that you may or may not even think you're going to get to. But I think it's important for us to reach out to the people that we are following or that comment to us or want to interact with us. I think you need to send a message. I think you need to comment once in a while. I think you just need to be more personable in this field so we can expand upon just our knowledge and gain a wealth of knowledge that you're not going to find in a book. And I'll be honest with you, I reached out to a guy named Gary Schofield. I go to Atlanta quite a bit. I live in Baltimore for the people who follow the show here, and I get a chance to go to Atlanta and back for a lot of different reasons. And his name just kept popping up. And I honestly use Facebook. I just sent him a message, and Gary can confirm this. I just sent him a Facebook message and said, hey, if you wouldn't mind, just can I bug you for 50 minutes to just talk shop and get in the show? And that was probably, in all fairness, 5, maybe 6 days ago max. I mean, it might have been last Friday for that matter. So almost like maybe a week ago. It's things happen that quickly. You can reach out to somebody, and the good ones will make time to give back to those that just want to interact or ask questions or just pursue more knowledge. I'll give you 2 questions that you should ask just in general when you're reaching out to somebody. What do you know now that you wish you knew then, and what has worked for you? Initiate your conversations with non-confrontational questions, and you'll be surprised at the Pandora's box that just opens up for you. So, Gary, man, it's an honor to have you on the show here, my man. I know it's late on a Sunday night for the listeners. We're actually recording this probably about 8:30 ballpark on a Sunday. And I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time with you, Gary, man. I know we got a bunch of questions lined up, and I'm looking forward to learning from you, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. Very humbled, brother, the follower of you. We've quasi-touched paths over the years where I've actually been in the audience of one of your presentations, and I've followed your podcast and Smarter Team Training, and really love what you do for the profession, man. I have a passion for it and passion for those that want to expand it, and you're definitely one of them. So definitely humbled and honored to be on your show.
Gary, can you do me a favor? Before we get started in any of these episodes here, I really like to find out about your passion. We can ask background questions, and we'll post your bio and give people an idea of what you've accomplished throughout your career, and I know it's outstanding. But I want to know something about you as far as passion goes, man. I think you got to be a passionate person in this field to really be succefful. And where does your passion come from? And really, what gets you fired up to get up in the morning and really attack the day with vengeance?
That's one of the things I tell people a lot is, they'll look at my hourly schedule, and I'll be getting up at 4 in the morning, leaving the house at 4:30 in the morning, not coming back till 8 or 9 at night. And I can still say, and I really mean it when I say it, that I've never had to go to work a day in my life. I get to go to work, and that little small word "get" is a huge difference. And I love getting the opportunity to work with the athletes that I get to work with on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it drives me. And where that came from, I don't know. I actually processed this through education. I went to an undergraduate school, got an undergraduate degree in athletic training, sports medicine. Thought I was going to be a physical therapist, athletic trainer of some sort. Really fell in love with athletic training. My undergrad school, Marietta College, Ohio, prepared me well. Came to Atlanta really to work the Olympics, get a master's degree in the meantime at Georgia State. One thing led to another, and I was able to work with and learn from Roger Hines, who's now the medical trainer with the New York Knicks, but he was the strength and conditioning coach with the Atlanta Hawks, and legendary athletic trainer Joe O'Toole with the Atlanta Hawks. And here I am, this young 23-year-old with this amazing experience in front of me. And really what hit me was, man, I really love working with the healthy athlete, even more so than the recovering athlete, the injured athlete. And so my passion and my career started kind of coming together or even separating, if you would say so, because I was in a physical therapy clinic for a long period of time. And so I decided, no, I need to follow that passion, that pursuit of what motivates me. And so went that route really blindly, very different than maybe most people that are in my field of strength and conditioning. I didn't go the graduate assistantship. I didn't follow that way. I had to kind of claw and scratch my own way. But I do think that that's created a unique background that I can take into an environment and have a unique perspective. So I went about it in a far different way and maybe have a far different background than a lot of people. But push comes to shove, I followed that passion, I followed that desire, and I really don't regret it for one moment.
I've never had an opportunity to see you train or work with a team, and so I'm going to ask this question very openly. Are there exercises that you avoid in your program? And then do me a favor, walk me through. I mean, you're dealing with a little bit of a unique age group, from what I understand. I feel like you have even if it's an 8th or 9th grader all the way to senior going off to college and potentially even college athletes coming back. I mean, you're dealing with a bunch of people that are just different physically. Can you walk me through that process, please?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge, definitely in my environment. So, I'm the head strength and conditioning coach at Greater Atlanta Christian School. That's for the entire school. I do see on a daily basis, we have about 800 students in our high school. So we're not a very large high school. We would be medium to medium small in the high school range in Georgia. But of the 800, I see about 409 a day. Now, that doesn't include the junior high program that I have off and running as well, but just those high schools, so about 409 athletes a day. Now, that's a mix between boys and girls. That's a mix between preseason, off-season, postseason, and transitional season. That's a mix of single sport, multi-sport, 2 or 3 sports, and it's a mix between beginner, intermediate, advanced, and elite athletes. And so you have all of that coming together, walking in with a 32-minute class period. It's really about a 50-minute class period, but when most coaches know in the high school range, when you have to do change out and change back, and dang it, if you make them late for math class, we're in some deep trouble. So they can come late to my class, but I certainly can't get them late out my door. That creates a very unique scenario and very unique situation because ideally, I'm there to provide what each one of those individuals needs to be great. I really truly believe everyone that walks through my door has great in them. And I want to give them the dosage or the prescription that they need to be great. So it's a challenge. I am not tied to any one exercise. When you walk in my weight room, the first thing that most people know or notice is that I don't have a record board. You will look around and you will not see bench club, clean club, deadlift club, and it's not that I'm against it. And people get all angry at me. Oh, he's against it. No, I'm not. And there are successful coaches that do that. It just doesn't fit my philosophy. Again, I'm not going to go ahead and chase numbers on a lift. I'm not going to go ahead and chase a lift. Just because you can squat 400 does not mean you're going to perform better on a field. I have multiple years of experience that I can show you that statistically and scientifically not related. So the reality is we chase these numbers in these specific exercises. It comes down to 5 things, Rob, in my program. These are the 5 things that I do that ties into the exercises, and the volume, and the choices we make. Number 1 is I want to do no harm. Do no harm. So I'm going to select exercises that produce the greatest effect with the least likelihood of injury. So Olympic weightlifting, when people come in, they're going to see I'm not a big Olympic weightlifting guy. Now, there are guys that do a better job than me. And, again, it's another one of those things. I'm not trying to be confrontational to be confrontational. I just look at it that if I can produce more rate of force doing a derivative, maybe a dumbbell snatch than a heavy snatch, then I'm going to choose that because of the less likelihood of injury, as well as producing all of the other exercises to reduce the likelihood of injury on the field. I'm going to try to reduce the likelihood of injury in our program. So that's number 1. Number 2, I want them to move well. I want my athletes to move well. Just a lump strength on top of dysfunctional movement seems absolutely ludicrous to me. And I know that's a functional movement screen statement Greg Cook and Lee Burton put out there all the time, but it's true. And it's been around a lot longer than functional movement screen. Vern Gambetta, 24 years ago, I heard him speak, and he talked about training movements and not muscles. This concept has been there for a long period of time. And so we do a movement screen. It's not a functional movement screen because we don't exactly follow the rules and regulations and have certified individuals providing all of that, but we do a movement screen every 6 to 8 weeks. We do Y balance, or at least my version of it, and we do an ACL hop and stop. We do a dynamic movement screen twice a week during our speed agility so I can actually see how they're doing on a day-to-day basis. That formative assessment that us high school instructors kind of know, as well as doing it every 6 to 8 weeks for that summative assessment process. So that, I'm talking about those 2 things before I even mention strength, which is huge. That's our number 3 thing is I want them to move strong. Once I can get them do no harm and I can move well, then I want to get them ridiculously strong. We talk about building monsters in my weight room. I want them to be scary. I want them to do things that frighten their opponents. But that only occurs when we can move well. And there are a lot of exercises you can choose. We break it down into movements. And so, lower body push, for example, can involve a squat, but it can also involve a rear foot elevated squat, a single leg squat. It can involve lunges and step-ups, prowlers, drags, carries, farmer's walks. So there are a lot of things that we can choose from on there, and I just want to choose what's going to give each individual, depending upon where they are in a competitive cycle, the advantage to be great. So I'm not tied to any one of those in particular. And then after we move strong, I want them to move fast. I want them to be extremely explosive. And I think in our field, there are great linear speed guys that have great systems to develop linear speed. But there are a lot of guys that just kind of lump a lot of agility together, and they don't really have a systematic approach to agility training. It might be something a little bit different that we do. We really, really stress a specific system to develop the explosively fast and quick athlete. And I define speed and agility a lot differently than other people do. But that's what we do there. We're going to make sure that there are a lot of speed and agility trainers out there that come in and they're going to run speed and agility sessions and never adjust for or have a strength program built into it. I just think that's crazy. I don't know how you can have speed and agility and explosive speed and agility without a great strength base. So we're gonna have that in that order. And then the last thing is probably the most important thing, and that's thrive. I want my athletes to have a blast in the process. It's the number one reason athletes are involved in athletics. It's starting to get pushed aside by this concept of scholarship or trying to push things that way, and you get the specialization craze going on. But really, when you get to the root of it, we play what we play because it's fun. And we coach what we coach because it's fun. I know, Rob, and you and I both, we're not in this for the hours or for the money. That's certainly not what we're doing it for. What we're doing it for is because it's just flat out fun. So I better program that into my program as well if I want that type of culture. So those 5 things, more than giving you one exercise or one group of exercise, whether it's power lift, Olympic lift, plyometric, or what it may be, I think those things dictate what I choose from. And if I recommend anything to a young coach or even an old coach, it's make sure you have those types of principles, philosophy principles, that you can pull from, that if I go listen to a Rob Taylor talk and he shows a great exercise, I know where in the spectrum that fits or doesn't fit for me. And then without making a derogatory statement to anybody else, I know whether that fits for me. So I would probably answer that. Hopefully that didn't skip around the question, I think, but that's how I would answer that.
If we're talking moving well, and I have to agree, now I get a chance to work with the younger athletes, you're identifying what we call weak links of the body, and it could be the shin, it could be relevant to the hip, it could be a low back midsection type thing, it could be a posterior side of the shoulder, or even grip or neck. I mean, there's so many things that I just think that young athlete is missing, but we keep sending them on the field, and I don't know if we're putting them in a situation for harm, as you've already indicated, performance type harm, or even potentially hurting them in the weight room, or just life in general. I mean, most of these kids are living active lives. I mean, what are areas of the body that you have identified as weak links? How are you modifying your program to develop strength or range of motion, et cetera, in these areas? And walk me through a little bit of that process of taking a kid that's not even injured yet, but you just notice that they don't move well. I mean, how do you go through that process of helping them move better?
Yeah, that's a great question, and probably maybe what differentiates me from a lot, and that probably comes from that sports medicine background, and just this desire to move well rather than coming from this pure powerlifting background. So not that either one's better than the other, it's just a different perspective. So when an athlete comes into our program, first of all, our system, and I love the Joe Ken system, I love the tier system, and the main reason I love the tier system, and I don't follow it the way he did it, but he would tell you that's fine because the system allows adaptability. And now I change it in a different way than he does, or even a good friend of mine, Freddie Eves, would do. But in our Tier 4, and again, we have very limited time, so we don't have a whole lot, but in our Tier 4, we have set up either working core stability, core mobility, or weak point training. That is the tier. And in the weak point training, we've identified the areas of the hips ankles, shoulders, neck, and grip. And you mentioned a couple of those. It's kind of funny, but that's what we've addressed. So that's actually programmed into our system, and we don't do core and auxiliary lifts. I'm not big on that. That is a little bit different than the tier system, where tier 1 is a bigger foundational lift. All of our lifts are important. Everything we do is important. There's not a single thing that we do, from the breathing to conclude the exercise to the prep work we do before the main set. Everything's just as important. Our athletes don't view anything any differently. So that's a main focus. But we also, like I said, we'll do movement screening. And we'll do it every 6 to 8 weeks, and it's a summative set. And movement screening doesn't tell you everything, but it tells you some stuff. And so I want to be able to see how they generally move. And we do a dynamic movement screen before our speed and agility work. And now that's obviously for my off-season athletes, because my in-season athletes are going to be playing their sport. But I can get a daily formative assessment from them to see if they're progressing. And what I do, I don't call it movement corrective exercises. There are a lot of people, a lot of smarter than me, that call them movement corrective exercises. And you can get the FMS 360, or you can do all that. They can kind of kick out some information to you through genetics or whatever that give you corrective exercises, and that's awesome. I'm just not a physical therapist. I know I'm an athletic trainer, and I know I have that certification, but I'm a strength and conditioning coach. That's what I do. And I know my role. And when I can't make someone more efficient in movement, then they're going to be referred out. So what we do is we have these supplemental exercises called movement efficiency exercises. And it's more than just semantics. You know, because they'll look at it and go, oh, that looks like one of those corrective exercises. But I just don't think you can I don't think I'm correcting anything. I'm just trying to make them more efficient in general movements so that they can be more productive in training. A more efficient athlete's more productive. A more productive athlete's going to translate to a better athlete on the field, and that ultimately is the only thing I care about. I really don't care about anything else. I don't care how they squat, how they clean. I don't care what numbers they come out with. I just want them to be as productive and efficient as physically possible so that it translates to an absolute monster on the field. So we kind of give them these additional movement efficiency exercises, and if you ever look at the program that we hand out to our athletes, it tells them, hey, complete these movement efficiency exercises between tiers, or you can come after school, or you can do it post-exercise. And so it's kind of built into the system, both in the warm-up, both into the movement weak point training section of our tier system, as well as these additional movement efficiency exercises tied into a whole program. It's kind of the shoelace that ties everything together.
I know by the sound of your voice and just getting a chance here to talk to you, and even a little bit of the conversation leading up to this, one thing I'm sure is big in your program is building relationships. And I actually get asked to speak and communicate or share a little bit with that college environment or the pro environments, like more and more in the presentations when we're talking with the audience that deals with the high school athlete, and we talk more about relationships than we do about program design and that type of thing. And the other big picture, that thing that we talk about is the value and the importance of how the parents respond or react in the stands. They are part of the brand that is being recruited as well. I mean, what is one thing, or even potentially more, that you stress to your players, parents, and coaches who are committed to taking the next step in their athletic careers, as far as helping them become a better brand to get looked at to go to the next level?
Kind of hit on a touchy subject for me in regards to, I think we're progressing down the wrong path. I think athletics have become pursuit of a scholarship or pursuit of a pro contract. Really, at the high school level, it's pursuit of a scholarship. When you ask athletes why they participate in a certain sport, they'll say, because I'm trying to get a scholarship. 5 years ago, I did a little in-house study. I did it with 282 athletes, and 92% of them responded, why do you participate in sports? And I gave them several different answers, and they could be categorized into certain areas, so it wouldn't be absolutely clear what they were doing. I was hoping not to lead them. I had a PhD help me in the selection of questions, so it's more of a legitimate, it's not a study, but a little bit legitimate look at what's going on for the values. 92% of them had answers that led towards, hey, it's just fun. I mentioned that earlier. It's just fun, just fun, just fun. I did it last year, and 88% was all scholarship-driven. So that we've kind of, the world has kind of flipped a little bit. The athlete has kind of flipped a little bit. The sports world has kind of flipped a little bit. With all the club and travel and elite play and sports specialization, which I don't think there could potentially be another article against sports specialization that John Swope from the Hall of Fame talking about baseball isn't a year-round sport, and it's over and over and over again, yet clubs and travel ball and elite play keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that bubble's got to burst at some point. I believe that great athletes play at the next level. I'm a firm believer in that. I think they just do. I think you can't hide great. Back in the day when I played, maybe you could, but this day, I can't hide. Walking down to the store, someone will take a picture of me. It's probably going to be posted. I mean, if you're a good athlete, you're going to get out there. So what I really try to stress with my athletes and community is, one, fun. Have fun in what you do. Let's make sure that that's the number one reason why we're trying to do what we're doing. Don't worry about the scholarship; it will come. If all your eggs are in the one basket for scholarship, you're really setting up an athlete that's going to struggle. I had a dad sit in my office, and this is honest to God's truth. I'm not making this up. We had a Spartan Together night, and they came in, great family, great kid, great dad, and his first question was to me, how do I put more weight on my kid? Took him to a couple summer camps, and they said if he only had about 20 more pounds of muscle, really be a great Division I athlete. And I had this conversation with him about, your desire, and that will come, will work. He's growing. It's great. Walked him through the physiology of it and what the program that we're going to have behind it so I could answer his questions, but really stressed to him the importance of making sure his son is having fun. And he turns to his son and says, of course he's having fun. You're having fun, aren't you? And he turned to his dad and answered, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I am. And you could see the look in the dad's face like, whoa. And I wasn't anticipating that. And it was like, just, again, another eye-opener that is sometimes the answer we want for athletics, for our kids. I think fun's got to be up there. That's the number one thing. Number two thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about them generalizing, not specializing. So they become, hey, I'm going to play soccer all the time. And then I need to do hip rotation, posterior chain exercises, hip rotation, posterior chain exercises. And you see these hamstrings and groin pulls, and it's like all they're doing is the same stuff. I want them to be extremely generalized. I had an under-17 national team member that can do things with the ball, female athlete, that I don't know how, it looks like a magician, like David Copperfield. I mean, the ball suddenly is appearing on the other side. I have no idea what she's doing. Yet in a warm-up, I asked her to skip, and it looked like a Frankenstein walk. I have no idea what. I'm like, you really can't skip? Just a normal skip? I mean, I'm closing in on 50, and I can backward skip and a rhythm skip and a side skip and a side. They have this lack of generalized movement skills. And I really stress that a lot with my athletes. Let's be great with the general, because I believe generalized skills are the foundation that your specific skills are built on. And they have, I think, elite athletes at this point, youth athletes in our culture have amazing specific skill sets, but they have very poor foundational general skill sets. And not only does it limit how great they can be, because that foundation, if it's not built up, is going to limit how high up you can get with that specific skill, but it will crumble, and when it crumbles, you get hurt. And you can see that across the board, the epidemic of injuries in the youth athletics. And I really believe one of the biggest things is having a poor, generalized system of movement and training and aerobic skill and all the stuff that is looked old school. I really believe is an important to have. And then number three is to have this growth mindset versus fixed mindsets. I'm not sure if you're aware of Carol Dweck's book, but our school really bought into it. Jeremy Boone had a great podcast on it as well. But these are things that, what it is everyone that walks in, I've mentioned it earlier, I believe has great in them. Now, that does not mean I'm buying into the everyone gets a trophy culture. That's not what I'm saying. Everyone can get better. Not everyone's going to be best. I'm not going to be singing in an opera anytime soon, as you could tell from my voice. But if I took singing lessons, I dang well could get better. And what I want to do is every time my athlete walks in, what I do is I'll have a big line that says, I'm slow. And I hate that. It drives me crazy. I'm like, no, let's find out how fast you can be. Don't you want to find out how fast you can be? Yeah. Well, let's go. Let's find out. Maybe it's a tenth. Maybe it's 100. Maybe it's 2 tenths. Maybe it's 3 tenths. Don't you want to push the limit? Yeah, I do. Forget about that. Let's go. Let's see how fast you can be. Or, I was small. freshman, bum weak. No. Let's find out how strong you can be. Let's do that. Let's take that mindset a little bit. So those 3-step process, I think, is followed well. If you really push fun, you really build a good general base and foundational and set the foundation right, and then you have that great growth mindset that you're just going to find out and push the limits of how great you can be. I think the next level takes care of itself. I really do.
Now that I get an opportunity to work in the private sector here, and again, that middle school, high school level, I feel like we do a similar program with our college kids and our pro guys. I don't know if we've changed all that much as far as the intent we throughout the course of the year, the yearly plan. But I'm learning a lot more about the middle school and high school athlete and all the things that they're going through. My question is about evaluating or testing. I mean, what tests do you do with your athletes? How many times a year? Do you even avoid testing? What type of emphasis do you put on? Is it a pass-fail? Is it if you don't get this done, you got to see me at 6 in the morning or 4 in the morning, depending on what kind of college environment you're from? I mean, walk me through a little bit of that process as far as tests go.
You hit the nail on the head. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We don't put a giant emphasis on it. Here's the reality behind it. And yes, we do. And I'll walk you through our program. So I'm not those that know my program, they're like, yeah, of course he tests. Why are you saying no? We just don't put a huge emphasis on it. I already mentioned we don't have record boards up. Do I keep those things? Yeah. Do I chart it? Yes. Do I chart general progress of an athlete? Yes. Do we do performance testing at the end of every semester? Yes. Performance testing being vertical, kneeling medicine ball toss, standing long jump, bench squat clean, trap bar deadlift. Yeah, we'll do that with the athletes that can. Do I put any value to it? Minimal. Because here's the deal. This is what I think when I think of a youth athlete or high school athlete. When they walk through my door, I'm seeing the tip of a huge, gigantic iceberg, the very tip. And all the testing and all the records that I could ever keep are only going to give me a little bit of a tip. And if I'm crazy like I am, and we track metrics, we track how many hours they sleep, we track their K-Cal ingestion the day before, the number of ounces of hydration per lean muscle mass, where they were, where they are, protein, carb, fat, calories, and look at the percentage breakdown. We have Omega Wave that we use with select individuals to give us some readiness factors and HRV. And we look at even with all of that crazy data, which is, I think, a little wild for a high school, plus all the other data that, pretty much everyone else does, plus all the movement screening data, that's still only the extreme tip of the iceberg. When they walk through my door, I don't know what their relationship is with their father and mother. I don't know if their mom and dad are getting a divorce. I don't know if the girlfriend that they had for the last year broke up with him and started dating his best friend. I don't know if he just thinks he failed a math test that he has to pass in order to be eligible for football because we're about ready to go into the playoff game, and he thinks he's failed it and might be not eligible. I don't know that, and he's not going to tell me that, and there's no way I can chart that, and that's just a few of those things. I don't know whether he's fighting. I don't know whether he's got an enemy. I don't know whether a girl winked at him. Let's take it on the good end. Girl he's been wanting to date. All it takes is a high school kid, a girl, a little wink at him as he's on my way up to the weight room. And I got news for you. That 80% or that testing day is going to be blown out of the equation. So did he have a great day? Did he have an average day? Did he have a below average day? All these testing numbers and all of the things that we do are just data points at that specific time in a very linear sequence. People talk about this linear and nonlinear. Hey, I got news for you. Everything's linear. Next year I'm going to be a year older. I don't get to go back. Everything is linear. So I'm just looking at these data points along this timeline and to establish what is it that athlete needs from me. And I try to look for trends, and I try to look for things. If I note that he's got some hip mobility issues, that's what's important to me, not some number of how fast he can run his 16 110s. And if he doesn't, he's going to have to get extra. That's such a minimalistic look at just a one period of time. And there are a lot of people that do that, and they're better coaches than me, so I'm not throwing them under the bus. All I'm saying is I just don't know how you can take one data point at one period of time and decide big picture out of that. I'm going to try to take all these data points and just measure what I can manage. And there are other things that we could measure. I just can't manage them. And so we go through that system. And so my testing for me is just for me to be able to evaluate what I need to give that athlete so that he can be great.
Well, Gary, man, I appreciate the opportunity here to get a chance to talk to you. I know, again, it's for the listeners, it's late on a Sunday evening, and I know he's got a busy week coming up here, so I don't want to keep you on the phone here too long. It's obviously, if you can't hear, my left hand's on my phone, and my right hand is pecking my keyboard here, taking notes. So I really appreciate the opportunity here to talk with you, Gary. Hopefully this is a launching pad for us to do some things down the road. I'm sure people who listen to this show are going to have some questions for you. Do me a favor, if anybody has a question or wanted to reach out to you to find out more information about what you have going on, I mean, talk me through a little bit how they can reach out to you directly, so I don't have to field all the emails, and hopefully you can take some of them too, and do that type of thing for me, would you?
Absolutely. So email's a great place to start. I have the world's longest email. It's Schofield, GSCHOFIELD, @GreaterAtlantaChristian.org. That's the long part. Don't know why they do that to me, but that's it. That's email. I'm pretty good at getting back to my emails. I have a Facebook, Gary Schofield, as well as GACS Strength and Conditioning page. I try to post some stuff and update it. Have a big intern and grad assistant program, and they do a great job of updating that as well and getting some feedback of what they're learning, so you can kind of get a running total on that GACS Strength and Conditioning Facebook page of what's going on a live. I have a Twitter page @Coach Schofield on Twitter. Try to keep that up and running as well, because that seems to be more of a connecting point than anything. It's really, if you're not on Twitter, you need to be. It's a great professional growth. Rob talks about all the time of promoting. If there's something good, you should share it and post it, retweet it. Same on Facebook. That's the way we can grow and connect in a bigger way. So I try to be a big part of that. I have a YouTube channel as well. Put some videos up there. GACS Strength and Conditioning YouTube channel. So those are probably more than enough ways to contact me. And please feel free to reach out. I believe it's the only way that I've ever achieved anything in this field is because great men were willing to spend some time with me. And I think it's part of our profession to pass that down. And so if I can help anyone in any way, I want to do so.
Well, again, Gary, man, thank you very much for the time here. It's been a privilege on my end to get a chance to talk with you. Again, for the listeners, I sent him a Facebook message. I think we interacted once on the phone. We might have went back and forth a couple times on text, a couple times on email, just to make sure we had the right time down here for us to get on the phone. And it was just that easy, man. It just do your prep work a little bit ahead of time. Ask two fundamental questions. What has worked for you, and what do you know now that you wish you knew then? Organize some of your thoughts, and then just set some time out. If you want to be efficient with your day, just plan 30 minutes and stop at a hard time, and you'll find out that these relationships can really blossom. So, Gary, man, I really appreciate the opportunity here to get you on the phone, man. Hopefully this is a launching pad for us to do some things down the road. I know both of you and I are incredibly busy, and hopefully our paths cross again in person. When I presented, it's really neat to follow up and meet people who have seen me present and talk and stuff like that, and see how far they've come and the impact that we're all making. So never hesitate to walk up to me, shake my hand, and I look forward to, obviously when you're here in Baltimore or when I'm down in Atlanta, I'm going to do my part to catch up with you, my man, and actually see what you got going on in person.
That'll be awesome, brother. It was an honor to be on. Thank you so much for asking.